tonight's main event.
Where's the Friday?
My calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious...
On this blessed Friday, let us give thanks.
So, another Friday is upon us.
G'day, welcome to WTF. This is Widow Trio and Freedom. This is not working my headset. It seems scratchy. Have you got that?
Yeah, I just put it down a little.
Yeah, there we go. Sorry guys, we just changed the system again. We're building, and it's coming through a little bit scratchy.
Not sure what that is. I'll see what I can do.
Okay, maybe we turn that down there. Anyway, I'm Rob Birdsey. I'm Widow Trio and Freedom. I have a really good guest with me today, Michael Stoker. We're going to talk about some geothermal stuff and all sorts of really cool things too, actually. Do you know what's going on? Oh, super quiet. It's coming through scratchy. Yeah, okay. We'll just give it a run and see how it goes. Michael, welcome to the show, man. Sorry for all the kerfuffle.
No worries, man. Pleasure to be here.
Man, I've been out of the studio for most of this semester, and this is the first time back for a bit, so of course things are going to go a little bit crazy, but...
Good to be back then.
We'll get it, yeah. Anyone out there, you can check this out on YouTube. That's Widowed, Trio, and Freedom. Widowed, I'm a widowed father. Trio, I have 2 little boys. And Freedom, I'm doing this to free our minds for all of us, actually. Maybe we might be able to get something out of it, huh? So welcome to the show. And, yeah, Michael, how's your morning going?
Oh, it's going great. Short notice to be here, but I'm glad to be here very much.
Yeah, we literally slapped this together, I think, last night, right?
Yes, sir. Last night.
Yeah. Last night was a last thing, but I'm excited. I'll tell you the reasons why. Is you do geothermal things, and
Yes.
I think that's so cool. Is it working?
It sounds good.
Okay.
It's not scratchy.
We're good. It's good to.
Can you come to the stream?
It's good to hear it.
I'll check it.
Yeah. Thank you. Sorry, guys.
It's better in my ear for that.
Yeah, I didn't even know. I've always been pretty passionate, actually. I did some research years ago on geothermal situations where pulling, obviously, the heat or the cool from the ground, and I just think that's really cool. It's expensive to go into the ground, though, too, right?
Yes, it's very expensive. The project I'm a part of, we've got investors from Google, Walmart. I mean,
Wow.
hundreds of millions of dollars are going into just this project alone right here in Utah.
Hundreds of millions. Where's this at?
This is actually just right outside Milford, Utah.
Milford.
Yes.
Of
right
all
up the road.
places.
Yes, and it's
Wow.
It's going to be huge. It's going to be one of the biggest. Their plan is to be one of the biggest geothermal plants in the world.
So
At least in the States.
and that's just for electricity?
Yes, it'll be powering electricity.
Wow.
Yes.
That's huge. I know. I mean, I've worked on a couple of smaller houses. I mean, they were big houses, really, that had geothermal heating and cooling, which they reverse cycled through the whole house itself.
Yeah.
So obviously, what you guys are doing, that's on a massive, large scale, right?
Oh, it is a huge scale. This will be powering cities.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's a lot bigger than your local little home, but the technology that they're putting into this is amazing. The project that I'm a part of out there, fortunately, like I said, I know I'm a third-party company to it, but...
Just bring that mic into you a little bit closer. Basically, the bubble's like 2 inches. So
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, that's better.
The project that I'm a part of, it's amazing. I've been doing what I've been doing off and on for 17 years, and it's great. I love what I do. And the project out there is fantastic. We've got investors, like I said, Walmart's involved, Google's involved. And their plan is right now they're going to be putting hundreds of wells out there, and it's all going to be powering a big power plant. And I don't know where they're going to send power yet, but
Yeah.
the plan is big. It's huge. It's bigger than any kind of solar, any kind of wind. You'll get way more power out of it.
What do you do? Sorry.
Okay, so what I do, I'm part of a casing company. It's a third-party company to the drilling industry. And a rig comes in, they drill the well, and my company, we case that hole. The company I work for is called Casing Specialties Incorporated. So we specialize in it, and especially me, I specialize in the geothermal side. So a well is drilled, and we put casing in. So imagine big metal tubing that keeps the well from caving in, and a bunch of other applications. But that's the main goal.
Okay. So, and then I know with a house, I mean, I've got nothing else to bring it to because I don't know that's a large scale. I don't understand
Huge.
how it works. I know that with a house, it's like you pump fluids into the ground, or you can just bring air in and through.
Yeah, so with this scale, it's so huge, and there's so many different types of ways that we can use this energy to create electricity. There's artesian plants, which literally mean they pipe the steam up out of the ground, okay? It turns turbines, which generate electricity. They then take that steam, condense it back down to water, pump it back down into the ground, and then it goes through the fissures, come back as steam, and it's a 100% green cycle.
So it's back through over and over and over again.
Over and over and over. And then there's other plants that use isobutane. They use that heat from the ground to heat up isobutane gas, which is a lot more efficient at producing some of the electricity. Those are when you start getting danger in the process, though. Isobutane is a really big boom if something were to go wrong.
I was gonna say.
But they know what they're doing. You know, there's brilliant minds on it, and
so there's a couple of different angles there from what I can tell.
Yes.
All right, cool. Man, that sounds awesome. What got you into that?
You know, it's actually really funny. I graduated high school, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. Like, I was good at anything, so I had nothing really that was a drive. And I went into this shop, and I got a job sweeping floors. And one of the days, the manager come up to me, and, you know, I'm an observant person. I like to learn. I like to see what's around me. And I had the main manager come up to me, and he says, "Hey, come here." And he invites me over and has me look at these tools and tell me, how would these be installed in this? And I did it, and it was the right way. And he says, "Shoot, you're better than half of my employees. You want a real job?"
Yeah.
And so there it was. And then
Wow.
ever since then, and now here I am 17, almost 18 years later.
Yeah. You know, it's funny that you even say it like that, because so many people, I've hired many people, I've worked for many people, you know what I mean? Half the time, when I was hiring, I would get them to sweep the floor. Hey, you wanted to sweep that floor for me? I'll be back in a minute.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's 5 mats, a couple of things you got to move. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I look for that sort of stuff, right?
It's a great judge of character, actually.
Man, I tell you, if you're going to go for it, you're going to go for it. If you don't, if you just sweep all that I can see and there's nothing else, I mean, it just shows you a bit about everybody. But showing up and having the tenacity to be able to just want to learn more about what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's, so you, what do they call that, autodidactic or something, right?
Yeah, I think it's an innate gift for some. For others, they have to learn it.
Yeah.
But me, fortunately, I think I was... I'm lucky. It's an innate ability for me. That's just naturally what I do. I learn around me.
So let's take that to, where'd you grow up?
So I actually am from California. I grew up in Marysville, California, which is about 45 minutes north of the capital, Sacramento.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's beautiful up there. It's
beautiful,
green,
yeah,
valleys, rivers, lakes, mountains. It's a perfect place, honestly.
Okay. What was life like? Mum and dad still in the house, all that sort of stuff?
Yeah. So mom and dad around. I had a stepmother that basically raised me. My father and his first wife, my biological mother, they separated when I was very young. She just got around the wrong crowd, but that's okay.
Sure.
Everything's fine now. Yeah, life was fine. I was pleasured in being raised very close with my cousin. My grandparents actually helped raise me a lot. I spent a lot of time at my grandparents' house.
Okay.
And I was raised around some would say old school people, but I pride myself in being able to do anything nowadays because of the way they raised me. You know, if nothing was if something broke, there was no go to the store and get a new one.
Fix it.
Right? There was, you fix it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not cruel, I promise, but I would wake up with my grandfather at 5, 6 in the morning sometimes, and I would go out with him and help split firewood for the fire in the morning.
Setting a standard.
Yes. You know, and I think it was great character building for the most part. And it allowed me to get to a point where, like I say now, there's nothing that I will say, oh, I have to call somebody for this, or, I've got to get this done by somebody else.
Dude, I think that's great. Like, just hearing what what you've gone through to get to where you're at now, I'm very similar to you.
Yeah.
My parents were massive gamblers, so we would always be put all over the place. You know what I mean? Like
Oh,
if
wow.
they were out gambling, and until I was old enough to just stay home or whatever, you know. But it was forever, and I had a stepfather that he had his daughter, and he was more about her. If I ever upset her, he'd come at me. So it was a very unsecure. I mean, it was secure around me. Like everything around me was fine.
Mm-hmm.
However, there was the unsecureness of like not having him to help me do something or show me or anything like
Yes.
that. So it's almost like you just start doing it yourself because we're curious.
Yeah, and that's great. I really think that is something, a quality that we built for ourselves.
Yeah.
Especially alone time. I was a single sibling until I was 10, so it was a very large gap to have a sibling. And for those 10 years, at 10 years old, you're getting close to becoming a teenager. In those years, if you just do things yourself. You're
I love
bored,
that.
you take something apart yourself.
Yeah.
And fortunately, if my father was gone, he's a chief in the Navy. And when he was sometimes gone, I had other people there, my grandfather, my great Uncle Mark. Those men are, I attribute all those men, my father, my uncle, my grandfather.
Yeah.
As much as I may have hated it when I was
Yeah.
growing up, and sometimes they were great men, and they were great men for a reason, because it's allowed me to become who I am. So
The best thing about that is too, right? I had a couple good uncles. One really, really good one, Uncle Ben. Shout out to him. I love that guy. But they sort of set that standard, and then interacting with such a number of people, they're all different.
Yes.
Yeah, and most like uncles and things around us, they'll sugarcoat things a little bit, but I mean, not from where I'm from. They don't at all. They just give it
I've
to
heard
you.
the Aussies are pretty straightforward.
But you understand that in a different light, you know what I mean, and you learn to grow and adapt. It's like almost what half the people in this school is missing is you go say hello to half the people here, they'll freak out. They honestly don't know how to even talk to you. I mean, or why is this older guy talking to me for? Was he trying to hit on me or what? You know what I mean?
I think that's a very sad thing, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because
it's-
people are the only thing in the world that'll ever be there for you.
We make the difference.
Yes, a car will not be there for you when you're having a bad day.
Although I wish it would. No, it's good to see that you went through that. So you grew up at Northern Cali,
Yes.
beautiful place.
Absolutely beautiful.
That's a pretty cool. How far away is that from Humboldt? Humboldt's up that way
Humboldt
too, right?
County, okay.
Is that another hour?
That's a few hours north of me.
Yeah, I was gonna say 'cause
That's
that's kind of
2-3
the
hours
wilderness, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're right up north. Okay, anyway, California's a good place. It's hard to. Well, the only reason why I'm even touching it is because it's so different all the way through California, from the north right down to the south.
Oh, absolutely.
So different, and many people have different opinions on LA versus Sacramento. I mean, Sacramento right now is. I suppose more San Francisco is shocking. I was over there not long back, and I tell you, man, it's so sad to see that city.
When were you there, if you don't mind my asking?
It was midsummer.
Midsummer?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We went for a baseball game up there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the A's.
Go Giants. I'm a fan.
Oh, there you go, Giants.
Bay all the way.
Yeah. They're moving the A's, so we thought we'd go check out that stadium. Was up there with a couple of friends, but yeah, it was good. It's good.
Yeah, no, I got married last year, FYI. Just a small change of subject. But we
Congratulations.
drove through San Francisco, and actually, through all the years of going there, a quick note to my late aunt, Elana. She was a beautiful person. She would take me there a lot
Yeah.
when I was very young. And we'd go to art galleries. We'd go, we'd take the ferry out to Alcatraz. And it was a beautiful city.
Yeah.
My aunt loved San Francisco. And there was a reason.
Yeah.
There's a reason people wrote songs about San Francisco.
Yep.
And I visited, and I was seeing some of the downfalls. But I will say, the last time I was there on my honeymoon with my wife, at least the wharf area, it was actually pretty nice. They did a good job of cleaning it up.
Yeah, they
It
cleaned
was
it up a
very
lot.
surprising. Unfortunately, still some of the other areas are not as beautiful as they used to be.
Yeah.
I really wish, though. It's a beautiful place. It really deserves better.
Oh no, for sure. I mean, the same thing is happening around the states right now in major cities. Like LA's the same. LA's kind of going bad right now, and It's a sad scenario to see because, especially San Fran, that place there is gorgeous. I've been there a bunch of times over a number of years since 2006, and it's from where. In 2006 and all that, in those times when I was out there, it was hustling and bustling. Like it was a city working.
Yes.
Like when you go out there now, it's not really a city working. Like even on a Monday, Tuesday, people should be there working, and there's no one. I mean, not as half as much as it was.
Yeah, it's, the city of gold. Some people say it. San Francisco, the gold rush, all of that. It's crazy to see the turn and how San Francisco has evolved. Like,
Yeah.
I'm all for moving forward, things evolving, because that's how we keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But unfortunately, I think they kind of devolved in a way.
Yeah.
Kind of in the opposite way of certain things.
Yeah. Hey, we turned over the time. Sorry, I should have done this about 7 minutes ago, but you're on KUSS. Is that right? KSUUFM, Thunder 91. Oh my goodness, I should know that by now. Just to let you know, because it's a top of the hour type deal.
You gotta have to say the city too.
Oh yeah, we're in Cedar City, Utah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I got a helper. I got a friend right now. He's doing all the engineering for our show, so this is coming out pretty cool.
Behind the scenes, he's the man.
Yeah.
Not behind the scenes. I'm on scene.
Oh, yeah?
So yeah, you can see me.
Oh, well, look at you go.
I'm like the guy from the Joe Rogan show.
Yeah. He's hiding in
Jamie,
the background.
look it up.
Yep. Yeah. Wait, that's what we need now. We need a big screen.
You're our Jamie.
I just have a folder of a picture of bears.
Every time there's a bear. So to break down California, you're raised in a really good place.
Yes.
That actually is a really good place. It's very, very beautiful up that way. It's not as dry as it is in LA and things like that.
No, it is green.
It's not as tough as LA. LA is a tough place. You know what I mean? There's a lot more family orientation around the area where you're from. So coming out through that, you didn't see your dad too much.
Oh, I saw him plenty often. When I got older, after 10, that's when he decided to go into the reserve unit of the Navy.
Okay.
So he was around. He would do his 2 weeks active duty every year and his weekend warrior things. And he's proud of it. I'm proud of him. It's actually really proud to know that, my father became a chief in the Navy. His father before him was a chief in the Navy.
Yeah.
So I unfortunately didn't follow in that footsteps, but I try to make him proud in other ways.
Yeah.
So
no, I mean you're doing great things. It's like you're a very well put together person. It's not like you're not doing something very important. What other industries have you gone into?
So I've branched out from field work and gone into more of the logistics before. I think either 2017 or 2018, I actually left Casing Specialties. So I had moved to Texas at this point. I was working in Texas because this work is all over the world. There's a beautiful geothermal plant in Hawaii. Shout out to Hawaii. That's a beautiful place. There's work there. There's work in Guatemala, Chile, all over the world. So it's a very big industry, but at the time I was in Texas and I decided I wanted to see a little bit of a change, so I swapped to a different company, and I went and helped them set up their safety program. I set up their tool tracking program, got dispatch going for them in a big way. So I was kind of the man that makes it happen instead of the man doing the work.
Yeah.
And that was a great experience. I've done some few other things. I did part-time managing a bar actually in Texas, which was really, really fun, by the way. I'm good at that. I found out really good, but then COVID hit, so everything shut down when that happened. But as far as branching out professionally, I haven't worked many other places. Most of my things have been, it's outside of the work scheme, but it needs done, and I just take care of it. Instead of calling someone else. Going back to kind of how it was as a kid, I guess.
Yeah.
What makes me more of an asset than anything else.
Yeah, problem solver.
Yes,
Yeah.
big one.
It's fun, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, I love it.
It really is. It's
As stressful as it may be for some, I love it. The satisfaction of knowing that I solved a problem.
yeah.
Just the other day for work, we had a call and they had a problem with a piece of equipment. We didn't even write a ticket for the job or charge them. We went out, we fixed the problem. They were super, super appreciative, compliments left and right, and it's the pride of knowing that I was able to just go fix that problem real quick. It's done. 5 minutes later,
Yeah.
well, they were shut down for a few hours waiting on us.
Wow.
You know, so it's that small satisfactions of being a problem solver that is
Yeah,
great
and
in my.
that could have been a $3,000 fix.
Yeah, yeah,
Why didn't you get paid?
yeah. That'll go to my Venmo, please.
So, do you work every day? Are you all over the place with the hours of work, or?
Yes and no. When the rig is drilling, because I'm specializing in mainly doing this project out in Milford, there's a limbo time sometimes when the rig is in the drilling process, like
Yeah.
they are right now today.
Yeah.
So it's during those times that we'll handle things in the shop or logistics. I just got back from Texas a few days ago, going and getting equipment for the job. So a little bit of limbo time between actually being on site and doing what we got to do. And fortunately, it gives me some time to do what I want. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not burdened by the 9 to 5
I like
by
that.
any means.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
like that.
burdened by that at all. I don't have to worry about, oh man, when am I going to just get those days off that I've wanted? Nope. Hey honey, I'm off for the next 4 or 5 days. What you want to do?
I love that.
You know? And so it's a blessing in disguise and also a burden some, because, you know, I work a lot, I'm good at it, and sometimes when you have nothing to do, it gets pretty boring.
When you're on, you're on.
Oh yeah, I need something to do. I'm going to be one of those old men. I'm never going to retire, because when I do.
So you do all the casings,
Yes.
and that's basically just sealing off the ground to what you guys are trying to do. Is
For
that
the
right?
most part, imagine a fence post, okay? It's metal, it's steel, galvanized. We don't do galvanized, but imagine it's just a metal pipe, okay? And that pipe of a fence post is like 2 1/4 inches wide, okay? Now imagine that same type of thing, but it is 10 3/4 inches
There
big,
you go.
wide, and it's 40 feet long. And it screws together with a specialty thread, and there's all this special equipment that holds it and screws it together, like a bolt and a nut,
Yeah, yeah.
but a little bit different. And we tighten that up, and that connection seals. We then bring the next joint and make that up and rinse and repeat till it gets down to the depth that they want.
Wow. So, but they have to drill it first.
Yes, they have to drill it first. Like I said, we come after they've drilled,
Yeah.
and then what we do is just as important as drilling. It's just
Yeah.
that part of stuff.
It's funny. I mean, I've worked a little bit in the oil field. Usually, as they drill, their drill is how they do the casing, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And that's a process of as it goes. So do you ever have any issues with that, like dirt falling?
yes.
Yeah. So I'm sure that's probably.
Yes, there's been a few times where we've had to pull casing where we're going in the hole, and something happens. It gets tight, or something happens. You
Yeah.
can never know, really, truly. But then here we are, and we're having to pull this all right back out.
Oh man.
You know, the upcoming project that we have is a big one. They call it a monobore, which is where it's 2 different sizes of casing that we'll be running.
Wow.
And this is a big one, the one that's coming up. It's actually the first time that we're doing it. We actually have a tool that we just had made that is one of a kind in the United States, and I believe maybe in the world. It's a special die for this casing to run with a tool. It's literally the first in the United States
Wow.
ever made by the company that makes them.
See if like to check for leaks and things.
No, so the specialty tool that we have these made for is called what we call a CRT. It stands for Casing Running Tool. We don't use it to run the casing per se with our company, but what it does provide is that casing that's 10 3/4 inches wide, okay? It basically is like a stinger or a plunger that stabs inside of that and seals, so that if we had to circulate, which is actually the act of pumping fluid down into the ground, it comes out the bottom, and the fillings and everything else come back up to surface, and they circulate that fluid. That's how they get the bad stuff out of the hole, okay,
Yeah.
if you will, the soil. And so with this project, we're running a special casing, and it's the teeth, the dies on that CRT that are the first thing that's ever been made from Volant, the company. It's actually a Canadian company, but it's the first ones I've ever made.
Wow.
At least in the States, from as far as I know.
So all prototypes by the sounds of
Yes,
it.
it's a very, very experimental project. The well design of this well is very experimental. So we're going to see how it goes.
Yeah,
I might be there for 4 or 5 days. So
Yeah. But that's all that you guys, you go in there for 4 or 5 days and you're out? Or is
it depends. If it's a surface casing job,
Yeah.
it can be as shallow as, I've done as shallow as 400 feet. And that's 20-inch casing. Okay, so that's big, right? And I've
That's
gone
huge.
down all the way to 20,000 feet in Texas running 5.5 or 7-inch. So
Really?
Yeah. So it really depends. You can be there for a few hours. Takes longer to rig your tools up and down than it does to run the job. Or sometimes I've been on location for 4 or 5, 6 days straight.
And that's just for you getting to where you need to pull the heat from, is that right?
Yeah. So where they're at now is about 14 to 15,000 feet is what they're drilling to right now.
Wow.
Yeah. So they'll go about 5,000-6,000 feet, and then what they actually do is they do a lateral. So they use a special mud motor and a bit, and they curve, and then they kick off and go laterally a mile or so.
Really?
Yeah. So it's not just straight down as some people think.
And as it's pulling laterally, are you pulling stuff from the ground at that point, or is that different?
Yeah. So once we're done, the project out here, it's one of the first times that they're introducing fracking into the geothermal world.
Yeah.
Now, I know some people are not a big fan of fracking, but honestly, what it's doing for out here in geothermal is a beautiful thing. They're still learning how to do this process right with the geothermal. Like I said, it's one of the first times trying to really get it down. But, because, versus oil, this is, it's not just a pool that we're going into.
Yeah.
Okay. It's fissures, it's rock. It's, down there is so sensitive. The foundation is so sensitive, and the fracking process is, I'll be honest, very, very complicated for them. But it allows them to literally pick where they want in that well to pull that power and that heat from.
Yeah.
It's wonderful technology. They can run fiber down, and they can, by the foot increments, tell you what the temperature is all the way down.
That's
they can tell
amazing.
you pressures. They can tell you everything. It's amazing, the technology that have come. And honestly, I think it's one of the best things here in southern Utah for them.
How many holes will they do?
I believe they're permitted for 500 wells already. Now, don't quote me on that, please. But we've done at least 20, 25 already, I believe.
Okay.
Somewhere around there.
And you said it's a pretty big project, so they're going to be there for a while.
Oh, yes. It's at least the next 5 to 10 years, unless something happens with investors, which, like I said, I don't think that's going to be a problem. Google's involved in this.
Yeah.
So,
Google got involved in that. Have you seen the other one near Prem,
Yes.
Nevada?
Yes.
When they were building that, I had a trucking company. I was hauling cars and things around, and
awesome.
I was going in there nearly every other week, dropping cars off and taking trucks out and things like that. It was cool to see it. I mean, you see those 3 towers. I was flying in the air once. I think I was coming across the bottom of New Mexico. That's right. So I was going from Florida to LA.
Oh, great.
And I'm looking out the window, and we're right on that area. And I'm like, it looked like 3 little dishes from a distance.
Mm-hmm.
And then I tweaked to it. Oh, it's those solar things. You know what I mean? That what they're doing there. When I was there, the guy gave me a bit of a tour around the place. The only thing that really sucked about that place, which they need to do something with it, and they've been trying many things, is everything's all mirrors coming into one hotspot.
Yes.
So as soon as a bird flies through that
see
thing,
it pop.
it just cooks and drops.
I've seen that. It's actually very, very funny to see.
It was seeing that, and then everything else to do with it too. Like they're basically doing the same as what you guys are doing down there with the geothermal, but they're creating their own.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know the technical term for what they're doing, but it's really, really cool if you really think about it.
Yeah. No, they had 3 or 4 turbines down the bottom, and they had nothing but like that black hose stuff. But apparently, it's like really, really super mega strong. And if you drive past them, when they're working, all you'll ever see is a bright white. It almost looks like the sun, because all of those mirrors around there are just guiding it to that one point, and that's where the birds get cooked.
That's where I'll say, hey, Mythbusters, you were wrong. It's a giant death ray.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
pretty
bunch
much.
of mirrors pointing to one spot. It's super heated.
For a crow.
Yeah, for a crow.
No, but it was fun to see. The guy even said, like, when it was active and on, there was a certain point of the tower you're not allowed to be in. Like, from that point onwards in height, you can't go.
Oh, I'd believe it. I wouldn't even want to try.
And they would, no, I wouldn't either. I mean, it's crazy. But the way how they had it all lined out, it's like to see all that black go white and all that. I mean, I think that's pretty cool. They're just heating up water and it's going back down. The same thing as you guys are doing, but just not traveling as far, right?
Yes. And part of that, like I said, is technology. Where the advances are focused.
Yeah.
You know, that is a new style of energy, and I think it's really cool. I don't know anywhere else they do that, just other than that south of Vegas right there. But
yeah, no, that was the first. That was the first for the world.
Oh wow!
Yeah, everyone was looking at that. Google threw so much money at it; it was ridiculous.
Oh really?
But it's kind of like what you guys are doing down here. Everyone came together to make that, be where it's at. So
gotcha.
Yeah, it was. I know at the time, I haven't heard the numbers since, but at the time it was supposed to be like the savior to the California brownouts, which I don't think worked.
No, you need a lot more to save that.
Yeah, I'd believe it.
Well, you need infrastructure first. You can get all the energy in the world. You need infrastructure first to then apply that energy.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, one of the biggest issues that they're trying to deal with over there. I think that should be their main focus before they go to we need more energy.
Yeah.
It's just, no, get your infrastructure right first, and then we can...
How about you work out water?
That's a big one.
That'd be a good thing for Californians to actually do. And there's so much water that flows through that place. It's all underground and things like that, but they have not done anything. I mean, looking at, obviously the fires have just been through there and we're looking at that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's a shame. But it's the same thing that's gone on over and over and over and over throughout all of the years.
Well, a big issue that I have with it, it's a little bit personal to me, is where I'm from, we have the reservoirs that feed the aqueduct to LA. Okay, so it was, to be stubborn about it, like that was our water in a way, right?
Sure.
And so much of that water just goes straight to the ocean.
It doesn't, that's exactly.
It doesn't even get used. And so our reservoirs go down, our water, where we're from, I'm a people's person. Like, hey, you guys need water. You technically don't have a water supply.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm all for it, but stop wasting the water that's getting sent down.
It's that, and that's been exposed, which is great.
Which needs a lot more, but yes.
Yeah, I mean, when I was living in LA for a while, and when we were down there, they were building more and more. They've got reservoirs all over the place, man. And all the one, especially like right around where all the studios are, where all the fires were. There's massive, massive, massive reservoirs there, and they were empty.
Yeah, just fill the reservoirs.
That doesn't make any sense.
No,
that's corruption right there.
Oh, yeah. Look, I mean, not to be weird about it, but there's a reason I don't live in the state anymore. I'll always have love for California.
Oh, man.
And it's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to.
Yeah.
From all of my travels. It's hard to think of that, some of the highest taxes in the nation and stuff. If I saw that money being applied better,
sure,
I'd still be there.
Sure.
It doesn't feel like it, so...
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that place makes so much money, and where does it all go?
It's ridiculous.
No one knows.
If you really start crunching numbers, it doesn't take a genius. A high school kid could figure out a better economic program. So,
man, that's for half the world, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, everyone gets so greedy. It's so weird. So you just got married last year, you said?
Yes, I did.
Tell me about what landed you here. You're in this town, is that right?
Yes. So I originally moved to Utah, to Beaver, north of here. It was October 2022. And I came here because, like I said, I was planning on leaving California, and my father lives in Beaver. And I said, hey, how's Utah? Because I didn't want to move back to Texas, at least West Texas. Gosh, there's a lot of money there, but it is an ugly place.
Yeah, it's desolate out on the west too.
Oh yeah, it's not a pleasurable place to be by any means. So I was like, I'm looking. I considered Northern California. I was living in Southern California at the time, Hesperia, Victorville, the high desert. And I was looking for a change. And he's like, well, shoot, come up here. And so I moved here.
Who was that?
My father.
Okay.
My father lives in Beaver. And I moved up here. So my father also works for the same company I do, fortunately.
Good.
So I immediately basically got my old job back. And things were looking okay. And then I met my wife, and I immediately fell in love. I never thought that would be something for me. If you ask my father, it's actually a running joke. He says I was vice president of the He-Man Woman Haters Club.
There you go.
I was always the guy that says, "Oh, I'll never get married. Why the hell would I sign up to lose half my shit, stuff." And a little bit of an old school mentality with it. But I met my wife, and it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. Yeah. And I immediately fell in love. It took her some convincing, but and then we finally got married last year, and I've been the happiest I've ever been since.
No, that's good. That's great.
Yeah.
What put you? You said you've done a lot of things with work and stuff like that, right? You hold quite a job position now. What do you think has helped you get to that point? I mean, obviously we've touched a lot of things on just you being so curious as a person. Anyway, what do you think helps influence there?
I think because I'm hard-headed.
I
think so. In public, with my family, with you, I'm a very friendly person.
Sure.
I'm friendly at work too. However, when you're at work, this is business time.
Yeah.
There's money on the line, and I have to keep things going. And sometimes that means being a little bit mean to some folks, or some folks think it's unreasonable there's no reason to have like an attitude about it. But, I think with, you have multi-million-dollar companies, and billion-dollar companies that we're working for, stuff needs to be right. And so it's not necessarily I'm a different person, but it's just a different task and a different mindset I have to take. I get a lot of criticism sometimes for how strongly I will feel about certain things, but there's a reason for that. Because without that, if we let everything be very loose and just not, it'll be fine, eventually down the road, that shows up and it's not in your favor. If you want to be the best in the world, you have to act like it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I stand, and I think that's a reason also why I continue to be a star, if not to float my own boat or anything like that, but we call them the company men. They're the boss out there on location.
Yeah.
Okay, there's the engineers and corporate above them, but on that location at that time, that's the boss. And it's fortunate to know that I can have a relationship with those guys where, I've worked with some 10 plus years ago in California, and now they're over here, and they specifically say, hey, I want you here for this part of this project because I trust you.
Yeah.
And that man is the representative of this billion-dollar company, and he's saying, hey, I want you.
Yeah.
And
that's a good feeling, isn't it? Yeah.
That feels real good.
Yeah.
So it's hard. Some people don't like the mean boss, and I'm not a mean boss by any means. I'm not technically I don't like to think of myself as a boss in any way like that, but I do know that when there's things that I'm put in charge of, I'm a little stubborn because, like I said, there should be a standard. We should follow that.
Yeah. Absolutely. I don't think it's a bad thing. And as you touched on before, I am from Australia, and Australians are very ruthless.
Yeah, they're pretty blunt. I've met a few, and they're amazing people, but gosh, they're blunt.
Yeah, we work hard for you. We'll do all sorts of things, but when it comes down to it, it's give and take, and sometimes you just gotta tell it how it is and go do the job. And it's usually when you lose people on the lower scale. And that's okay. You know what I mean? That's not a bad thing. It's kind of like just life in general. You know what I mean? If I'm being nice to you, it's because I am a nice person.
Yeah.
If I'm not talking to you, it's because you're not a nice person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I can talk with anybody, but
Yeah.
if you're not a good person,
I'm not
don't,
done. Yeah.
I don't exercise that.
It's something that, and I challenge people to do that too. When you're having interactions with people out there, and you're in your mind, you're like, I really just do not like this person. It's
Mhm.
like, you know what? Just cut them out.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt. It actually feels pretty good.
I try to convince some people in my life to
Yeah.
learn that a little bit better. And look, I'm not saying that I'm heartless by any means,
No, I don't think you are.
but toxic people don't need to be around in my life is all.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing.
And I think that's okay to say, when you say to cut someone out of your life, some people take that very seriously. They take that very aggressively. Like, oh, you're so mean. You should be more understanding. I was like, no, I'm understanding. That's why I'm doing so.
Yeah.
I don't do it for no reason.
You're not doing it for them. You're doing it for you.
Exactly.
And that's what they got to understand is I'm doing this is for me, for my life.
Exactly.
Right? Like I need to set a standard for my barriers. Otherwise, if I'm just going to let everyone in, then everyone's all going to come in and it's ridiculous. You can't cover that. You know what I mean? And it's a place and an environment that the sooner you young kids out there that listen to this, it's just get with the program. You know what's right for you in your soul, in your heart. And when you feel like you're being taken advantage of or you feel drained after talking with people, drained is a good one because people, we don't really take note of that. It's like I'm always registering the gauge of who I am as a person, being around with certain people, and are they taxing me? Do I need to get away from them?
Yes.
And I think that's valid.
And I think another word that I like to use for people that experience that is stuck. When someone feels stuck, if you're feeling out there with people that you know or people that you're around, and when you're around them, you feel like stuck feeling, that's your body telling you that something's not right.
Yeah.
The human body is an amazing thing, and it speaks to you.
Oh, yeah.
And when you're feeling that feeling of stuck with the people that's around you, that's your body saying, hey, you've stopped growing, you've stopped learning, you've stopped knowing what's going on with these people. You're not moving forward in either a relationship with that person or for yourself. So it's time to make a change, whether that be cut them out or change the dynamic of that relationship, whatever it be. That's your sign. That's your body saying, hey, you need to wake up a little bit and take a look in the mirror, and make a choice.
And then I challenge another thing too. We say cutting it out like it's just everything that we always do, just cut things out. Well, you know what? You don't need to cut them out. Just like put them on timeout. But you'll talk to them and you'll be their friend and you'll be cordial. But now it's a cordial scenario.
Yes.
And it'll teach you for A, boundaries for yourself, B, how to set those boundaries for others, and C, how to live a better life. Because man, when people tax and tax and tax upon you, it becomes thin real fast. And if you got people, especially like if you're on the job, especially like you guys probably work like you do big hours when you guys are going, you guys are going, right?
Yes.
It's like they're doing their job. You take the days off, but they're going to be finished on this day. You need to show up and go.
Yes.
So and I've been on cruise with that where maybe there's only 4 or 5 or 6 of you, but you guys got to work together. Otherwise, you're not getting it done. So if there's a wrong attitude in that right there, it's like what you're saying about the guy coming, the $1 billion guy saying, "I want you.
Yeah.
I trust you. I'm putting a lot of money into this. You're going to run it."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That just says everything right there of what you're bringing to the table.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And anyone that works with you should emulate what you're doing.
And it's communication too. At my biggest words in the field that I work in, at least, and this applies to life. I bring life experiences to work because it works.
Yeah.
Is communication and complacency. Those are 2 of my favorite words, because communication is your biggest thing. It's how you know what's going on.
Yeah.
If we can see a guy and he's having an off day, maybe had an argument with his wife beforehand, and he's here because he's got to work and whatever, he still has bills to pay, and he's just off. We'll see that, and we try to keep relationships with people, for the most part, good with the guys we work with. That's very important, first off. But you see a guy, even if it's somebody that's a rig hand that's not technically part of our company, but it's someone that we work alongside with. Hey, buddy, are you good? Is everything good? Are you okay? Because knowing how and what's going on through that guy's mind is important.
Yeah.
You got to be there for the people that are watching your back, because this job is dangerous. This job can kill you.
Oh, I believe it.
It's not even a joke. And with that communication, you find out if that guy is having a bad day. You got to be there for them, because then you tell them, okay, go get a cup of coffee. Go get some water. We got this for a second. Do what you got to do. Get your head in the game, because this is serious, first of all.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, when it's at work with communication, that's when, like I say, the different persona kicks in. Look, I know you maybe had an argument with your wife, but that needs to stay at home, because we're here right now.
Yeah.
We got a job to do, and I need you to focus.
Yeah.
If we're in a personal experience, I'm going to ask a little bit more. I'm going to communicate a little bit more. Be there for that person, if that makes sense. And that leads to complacency. Now, complacency in our lives takes place in so many different ways. With work, that guy that, say, had his argument with his wife, his head's not in the game. He misses one step in the hundreds of steps we're taking in this process. That one step could get somebody hurt or themselves hurt.
Yeah.
Or even worse.
Yeah. And
complacency is the number one cause of lost time accidents, injuries, everything as far as in the workplace. But people don't understand, we get complacent in our own lives as well. We get complacent, and that's why, like I said, it's my favorite word, because it's so real and tangible to identify once you know what you're looking for. Say, for example, some of you kids listening, you've got projects that you're doing, and it takes this to get your A. You have steps 1 through 10 on this project that you got to do, and step 2 is just something minute, something you think, that's not the most important part. Is step 7 is my real important thing. That's what I'll get my big grade on. But people don't realize, if you skip that step 2 just because you know and think that step 7 is where you'll get most of your grade, if you fall short on that step 2 could have been the thing that kept you going. You know what I mean? Yep. And that works with all kinds of life. I think that
Don't
works
cut
with
corners, people.
Do not cut corners, because
No.
trust me, it will come to bite you. Have an integrity in what you're doing.
And that, it's almost like a warning sign for anyone ever. Like, I don't really need it. Do you? What happens if you don't? And what happens? What's the worst case scenario? That's what I'd be thinking. I'd be asking those questions. So no, it's interesting. You've talked a lot about leadership and stuff like that. Getting onto that, I mean, what's your age? Sorry.
I'm 34.
34. Great age.
Except for my knees.
There you go. You've been working hard. No, it's fun. In your 30s, you sort of feel like you're starting to get on to who you are as a person. In 40s, you really start implementing. So you got a bright future.
Thank you.
What brought you to? I mean, I know we touched on things, but did you? What was your first jobs? You coming through that like?
That's kind of hard to define for me.
Did you leverage things the way you wanted to?
I would say I don't have any regrets in my life.
Sure.
By any means.
Yeah.
I'm happy with who I am as a person. I feel like when I'm gone, I would have brought more to this world than I've taken from it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's a good thing to live by, folks.
Yeah.
Anyways, so music actually is a huge part of my life. I was a musician. At 4 years old, my father taught me how to play the drums.
Nice.
At age 5 and 6, you know the song Wipeout?
Yeah.
I was playing that in his little band at the little Moose Lodge or whatever. At age 5 or 6, I can't believe. And I don't remember quite the story, but my aunt and my grandmother were like, he might grow up being in a band, dating groupies, whatever. We don't want that. So they put me in piano lessons. And I remember when I first started piano, I could not stand it because I couldn't just beat on it with a rhythm and it makes sense. But eventually one time something clicked. And once I was able to figure out what these keys did, I fell in love with music.
Yeah.
Because then I could either make them sing sweetly and softly, or get aggression out if I need to. I taught myself guitar. There's not an instrument that I can't pick up and in 5 minutes play you Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Wow.
You know, it's a beautiful thing, and I was good at it. I mean, I still am for the most part. It's one of those things where I don't regret it, but it is something that I think about when I look back. I've had opportunities that could be what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
Just being a musician in a band off somewhere, you know, doing a big show.
The only bad thing about that is you're working when people are partying.
Exactly.
That's the same as like I love cooking, you know what I mean? But I don't ever want to cook for you unless you come to my house.
Yeah.
I don't want to have a restaurant and be, you know, it's fun. It's therapeutic actually. Like I really love cooking good food, you know, but I'm not going to be the one that's out while, you know, people should be having fun. That doesn't sound right to me.
And so music is a big thing. It's a therapy in a way.
Oh, absolutely.
Which that's if I can get anything maybe out to your listeners is find something that's a therapy for you that's not therapy.
Yeah.
Because you can go to a therapist and they're going to take your money and they're going to take your time for a long time before you get to the bottom of it. Find something that is a therapy for you, because that will work way better than anything else. You know, whether it be hiking, for me, music, you know, cooking. Yeah. Cooking's a big one for a lot of people.
Man, I tell you, I mean, I've always cooked, but I've never got into it as much as I had to when my wife passed away in 2020.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My condolences.
Yeah, I appreciate that. She died of breast cancer.
Oh.
And she died at 42 and left me with two little boys, 4 and 2. And I was coming off the road. Like I was traveling sales and marketing and stuff like that. So I'd never be there. You know what I mean? And to come out of that to straight, you have a dead wife and now you have 2 little boys and good luck and go.
I couldn't imagine.
Man, I tell you, I'd wake up at 7 and start breakfast. You know what I mean? And I'd look down and it's like 11 o'clock and they're still waiting for food or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it was not great.
Oh man, I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
No.
Props for you to go through that.
Yeah. You stare at a lot of walls. But but since then, it's like it's shown me, you know what I mean? It just changed my whole world.
May I ask, were they picky eaters?
They were when my wife was around. I snapped that out pretty quick.
So good things came.
Oh no, great things come. It's funny to see. I mean, I definitely hope that there's a female that comes into our world one day. I think the kids need that. You know what I mean? Because dad's on point all the time. You know what I mean? And sometimes every now and then my kids are like, "Oh wow, Dad, you're really funny." Like, I'm sorry you don't get to see more of my funny side.
Yeah.
Apparently, I'm still teaching you stuff.
No, that's a very big thing, though, is the balance between being dad and being dad, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I know to some folks that may not, but I think there's a big difference between being a parent and being a friend to your kids.
Yeah.
There's times to be a parent, I'm not your friend today. And then there's other times like, I am your friend, I'm your best friend, you can come to me for anything.
Everything, yes. Yeah, everything. However, I have a thing with my kids. It's out of your pay grade. We can't talk about that yet.
Oh, okay.
But it's in this vicinity. I'll tell them the vicinity of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I try not to sugarcoat nothing with those guys. I just tell them straight. You know, it is what it is. Mm-hmm. And when it came to food and picky eating, I would just say, I think it was like mac and cheese. My oldest, that's all he wanted to do is just mac and cheese. But when I make mac and cheese, I put tuna in it, I guess some vegetable, and it's, I make a whole thing out of it, and it's great. But I slowly just educated them on, if you just do nothing but eat that, you look like this person. You know what I mean? And just showed them photos of when you get things sorted and you get a balanced diet. My youngest kid is really good with it. He listens to everything and he'll eat all the good things. You know, he'll even eat grapefruit with me, which is kind of weird. It's weird for me, let alone a little kid.
I don't know many folks that eat grapefruit.
Yeah, you will when you have to adjust your blood pressure, I'm sure.
Oh no.
No.
I hope I don't get there. I know one time I will, but
and it's not like I'm supposed to do anything. I don't. I learn it and then I do it. Yeah. And I don't, and if I don't do it, it's because I'm being ignorant. I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, once I know something is coming, like my blood pressure is a little high. It's a little high. I'm like, all right, we're going to sort that out because I don't want no blood pressure stuff going on from this point. But I got a buddy, he's in the military. He's going through it right now, and now he's on blood thinners all the time. It's like, oh man, as soon as you can get off those things, the better.
You know, I think that's the first route people should take, especially with their medical practitioners or whoever they visit for any issue. Before they give you pills, try it. Try the fix, the natural fix first, because, you know, not to really get into that, but I think everything's so fast to just throw pills at people. Yeah. And I think that's the worst thing for people.
I've got a tip for people out there that if you get heartburn, it's so simple. You just get bicarbonate soda, water, and done. A spoonful of that, put that in there, boom, you're just alkalining your body once again. Alkalining your body is one of the biggest things that we never ever listen to, or we never even acknowledge. But 100%, I think it's like a 99.9%. All of us, as we walk around with the food that we have at the ready to eat, we all run acidic.
Yes.
Right. What grows in an acidic body is cancer. Mm-hmm. Right. So we're just got all the good bits for it to brew whenever it's ready to raise its ugly head.
Yes.
So at that point there's like what you're saying is building the habits of eating well and when to eat and how to eat. People don't do it.
And FYI, if you eat and you are healthy and you drink a lot of water, don't drink a crap ton of water right after you eat. Because one thing I've learned, and it's amazing to me, I was actually a friend of mine who's a doctor said this to me, and people that eat, right, and you drink water with your meal, that's a popular thing to do. However, if you drink a lot of that water, people will have what they think is acid reflux. What they actually have is a lack of acid reflux. They basically, with that basic water, right, neutralized a lot of their stomach acid, right, in a way, if they drink a lot of water. I'm talking about the people that drink a lot of water. But you eat, and now your stomach is having a harder time to digest that and break it down.
Yeah.
And that symptom can feel just like heartburn.
Yeah, I believe it.
So just don't drink too much water, and then take a bunch of Tums or whatever right after, because then you'll still feel horrible for a while. Yeah,
it's kind of you're doing something because you're doing something. You can be preventative in that stage there. Yeah. And there's another thing too, is like if I will counteract with your don't drink too much water if you naturally like to eat a lot of stuff and you know that your portion's bigger than your hands. You know what I mean? I would probably say, just eat that much and drink water.
Yeah.
But on the larger scale of heartburn, there's so many easy things to do there. You know, you touched on raising my little boys. I just wanted to touch on it. It's like when dealing with them, I have three minds, and it didn't start out like that because at first it was just a dad mind, which is yell, scream, do this now, rah rah rah. Yeah. You know, and then and you slowly curve that to. You yell and you scream or you do whatever, you know what I mean? Like I'm not proud of the things that I've done, but I'm proud of the way how I've achieved coming out of all that. So once you yell and scream and all that jazz, whatever, you see the disappointment on their faces, and that's where it started. The second mind kicked in me, and I promise you, my wife's voice was just, they're little boys. You just gotta give them love. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, so now it's like. I'm addressing a situation with them, and it got dad heated, but the logical mum says, it's not that bad, and this is what goes into my head. You know what I mean? It's hilarious. So I'm like, oh, it's not that bad. They're okay. Everything's safe. It'll be fine. They just need to do this. And as long as I explain that and let go of the dad, I'm good.
It's all trial by wire.
Yeah.
Or fire.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, I've got, between me and my wife, we have 3 children.
Yeah.
And I think a big part of being a parent is understanding them and also understanding for yourself that you're not always going to understand your child.
Never.
And there's going to be times where they're not going to get you.
Yeah.
They're not going to understand what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
And those times are the times where, you know, like I said, communication and complacency, that applies to your family life.
Yeah.
You know, communicate with your kids and don't get complacent about either being there for them or disciplining and being tough on them when they need be.
Exactly.
You know?
We're coming up to the end. Is there anything you want to touch on?
Not really. Just, I mean, like I said earlier, find something that's a therapy for you. You know, coming on the show, like it's been a pleasure. First of all, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I know it's very short-lived, but this is great. I love it.
We'll do it again.
Yeah, I would love to. But yeah, just out there, guys, just listen to your body. I think that's the biggest thing. Listen to your mind, listen to your body, listen to your heart and your soul.
Yep.
Because it's going to tell you what you really need. You know,
Yep.
like earlier I mentioned feeling stuck. You know, a lot of people talk about anxieties and whatnot nowadays. You know, and I think the biggest thing is with that, when people struggle with that, feeling stuck, it's your body telling you something.
Yeah.
Your body telling you to make a change. It
Oh,
means you're
man.
not moving forward or back. You need to make a choice.
I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
But for me, what I've noticed, like going through what I've gone through and coming out the other end, now I feel it here. I feel everything here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And 9 times out of 10, if it's wrapped up in whatever I'm doing and comfortability and maybe working with other people, I mean, if I feel that, I don't work with people.
Yeah.
I just listen to this and stop that.
Yeah.
You know, and it's probably the best thing that anyone could ever do until you really understand it and understand who that person is to you, because there's something going on there that's not right.
Yeah.
I would monitor them at that point.
And that goes for yourself too.
Yeah.
You know, with yourself, you're feeling stuck with yourself. You know, listen to your body. It really is the most amazing tool you have. And guess what? It's part of you. You're living in it. So take care of it and listen to it is all I got to say, man.
You kind of already answered it, but I'm going to ask you, I always ask everyone one last question, right?
Bring it.
And it could be with everything, and I appreciate the bring it. What makes the difference? Yeah.
Ooh, that's a really good question.
I know.
What makes the difference? And that applies to everything. Okay. I think what makes the difference is how you position yourself to make a choice about it. Okay. So many people, what makes the difference? Some people will use worry and anxiety to drive their answer. Some people will use motivation and in fear or worry. Some people will measure it against happiness. A lot of people measure things based on how they'll feel about it, or some people measure things based off of their finances, you know. And as a very broad question, what makes the difference? I think it's your attitude. It's listening to your body, right? Listening to yourself, your heart, your soul, and use that as an inspiration to drive the right answer. You know, I say it all the time, and people go, well, what do you mean? I say, do the right thing. Someone asks me a question, hey, should I do this or that? Do the right thing. And they look at me like, that's not an answer. I said, true, but when I say that, people actually think. You know, people look for scapegoats too many times nowadays.
Yeah.
You know, can someone else answer it for me because I don't want to? Yeah, right? So when I say do the right thing, it makes them actually engage with themselves. And I think that is the biggest thing. Engage with yourself, because a lot of people are afraid of engaging with others.
Yeah.
But don't you ever be afraid to engage with yourself.
Yeah.
That is the biggest thing.
Ask yourself questions.
Exactly. So what makes the difference? I think have faith in yourself, listen to yourself, and just have the right attitude about how you want to get to that end goal. Because, that's important, man. I see so many people, they struggle with trying to find just A or B. Yep. And it's just like, you know, it's not that hard. Just listen to what really is true. It'll come to you.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Mike, I appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Rob.
This is an absolute treat. Last moment, we slapped it together and the wheels didn't fall off. So
it was
I appreciate it. Yeah. You're always welcome to come back anytime you want. We're going to go to a song now, and thanks for everyone to be here. So, Dirty Cash. I spent that wrong. Let's do this one.